Well, hello, Dixie Belle paint fans. How are you today? It is Melissa from the Top Drawer RVA coming to you live from the dining room floor where we get together every Wednesday around this time and play with some paint. So welcome, thank you for joining me. If you are a new watcher, I'd love it if you dropped in the comments below where you're watching from. Say hi, and if you have watched me before and you've come back for another visit, thanks for joining me again. I have a kind of fun thing planned out today. So what we're going to do today is do a little bit of everything. So you're gonna have to hang out with me for the next little while and we are going to play with some paint. So you all know that Dixie Belle released some really fun, fabulous new transfers recently. And I have been using the heck out of them. Now this one today that we're gonna talk about is called On the Farm. It's actually really, really cute. You can see that beautiful barn, those cute little farm animals. And I've already done a couple projects with it. And I'm gonna show you what I've made so far. And we're gonna work together on another one to use up the rest of the transfer, because y'all, it's 4 pages of hugeness and I feel like it's never ending. There's a lot of stuff to use up. So we're gonna do that. So what I've made so far is a couple trays. These trays were purchased at my local Goodwill. They were wood. I wasn't a big fan of the color. This one was, let's see, I didn't paint the back. This one was wood. And I painted it in sage green. I then came in and added the transfer. You can see the cutest truck. There's cotton, there's the sign, there's the little, what do you call this thing? I always have like a mind block when I'm actually live. I want to call it a silo, but it's not a silo. It's a weather vane, right? It's a weather vane, I think. So this is one of the trays that I made. And then I actually had another one and I did the same sort of thing. I think I did this one on, I think I did it on sawmill gravy, but don't quote me on that. If you want to see the actual video of these two things being made, I did post it on Pinterest, and I believe Dixie Belle put it on their Instagram page for IGTV. So this is where half of my transfer went, and I have another half of the transfer to use today. So you guys know, if you're a Top Drawer RVA follower, you know that sometimes I paint a barn on things, right? Usually it's on a nice flat front. I get in, I paint a sky, I paint a scene, and I paint like a barn, and I do crows and a lot of hand painting goodness, right? But the part of this transfer that I haven't used yet is kind of neat, and I'm going to show it to you. And this was the base for this piece that we're going to play with today. So part of this transfer actually has a barn on it. Can you see this barn? It's in 2 parts. These transfers are very easy to line up, and the fact that I don't have to sit here on the floor and hand paint a barn is kind of cool. So this was kind of the inspiration for my piece today. I do have a moderator sitting in the room with me. It is Christmas holiday. My daughter is hanging out and she's going to read comments as we go along. So if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to ask them below. I don't need my specs. I don't need to see. She's going to tell them to me and I'm going to answer them for you. So drop them in and we'll go from there. Any comments so far? Any questions?
No, and I put a link in there. So.
All right, and she dropped the link in bio for you to find your local retailer, and you can shop these transfers too. Hey, put them in somebody's stocking. They would love them. They really would. Okay, so you can see this transfer. You see the bottom part of the barn? It's got like almost like a winter scene, all right? So the grass on the bottom part of the barn is kind of like a beigey color, right? And there's some white in there. Like when you peel this back, the color actually by the barn is like a whitey kind of, I don't know what to call it, tan color. So that was the base that I decided for the bottom, okay? We're gonna paint this today. Then, once this gets dry, which won't be now, but you can come over to my own Facebook page and we will do it together. We're gonna stick a barn on this and we're gonna zhuzh it up farmhouse style. So let's begin, shall we? Let's do it. All right, so this is what I painted today for you to learn about what we're going to paint. This is Bunker Hill Blue. We have Mason-Dixon Gray, a little bit of Haint Blue, and down here at the bottom, I added some putty, okay? So I'm gonna teach you how to do this, and it's really super, super easy. Don't be surprised if you start doing this to all the things, because it looks really good on all different kinds of furniture, okay? So what is this? What is this little thing? It's a trash can. I think it's a trash can. I removed the handles. There's actually 2 handles in the side, and I've taken them off. They're black, they're rustic, they're really cool. I'm putting them back on. I'll be painting over these hinges at the top because I kind of want to paint that sky vision on the top. So the very top of this piece is going to be Bunker Hill Blue. Then it's going to travel down into some really beautiful Mason-Dixon Gray, then Haint Blue, then that kind of putty color at the bottom that we're going to add that barn house to. So now when you're looking at the front of the piece, imagine that I paint that sky on there. We put this barn in here. We've got all these little cutie pieces. There's even tiny chickens. I mean, so super cute. So we're gonna paint this and then we're gonna dress it up farmhouse style. So I'm gonna take this lid off because I'll probably make it fall off if I don't take it off. And it's just gonna be pretty much Bunker Hill blue anyways, but we'll do that piece over on my own Facebook page, all right? So I'm gonna take the little lid off.
Ray says it's gonna be a potato bin.
It might be a potato pin. Actually, she had a great idea. My daughter, Alyssa, sitting in here, she thought that I should line this and put the dog food in here. Then you could just like open the thing and scoop it out. That is a really great idea. Super good. All right, so I'm gonna aim you down and we're gonna get started. I've cleaned this little wood box with white lightning, or you could use pristine clean, makes no difference, they both work the same. I dispersed mine into a little bottle, shake it up, spray it on, wipe it off, rinse it with water. I then did a slight scuff sand to this piece, all right? I didn't prime it. I did not prime this piece because I don't feel like there's a need to prime it. I'm gonna distress it. I'm gonna add black wax. If there's a tiny bit of bleed through that comes through on this, I don't care. It's gonna add to the rustic vintage flair. That's what we're gonna call it. Because, you know, it doesn't matter. I wanna age it up. We're gonna dirt it up. So let's begin. So as we go along, I will tell you the colors of paint that I'm using. If you have any questions, like I mentioned before, please feel free to ask them. My daughter is in here and she can help us out by answering them. And let's play with some paint. Let's open them up and do this. So there's one tool that is essential to this ombre blend that I'm going to teach you today, which by the way is super easy. I expect you to try it. Send me pictures. I want to see. The essential tool is your best dang brush, okay? You see me use this brush a lot. I'm not going to lie. I have like 4 of them because I'm obsessed. I use them all the time. Oh, here's little peanut gallery saying actually you have 5, Mom, 5. So I have 4 or 5 of these brushes. One's for wax. I use this to apply my wax, and it actually says on it in black marker, wax brush, so I don't mix it up. This brush is amazing for ombre blending. It's a synthetic and natural fiber brush. It's very stiff, it's very pokey. It also works amazing for stencils. Okay, so today this is going to be my tool to get that really wonderful ombre blend. Now I'm going to show you one more time before we dive in what we're working on and how we're going to paint this. This is what we're going to achieve today. Super fast, super easy. So this is technically the front. I don't think it makes a difference, but I'm trying to keep it true because, you know, sometimes you put lids on and hinges back and things don't ever fit the same, so I want it to work. What's the question?
Joanne says, will the paint stick well on the metallic hinges on the top?
Okay, so these little metallic hinges at the top are actually black. I've painted over these hinges many times before. Usually what happens is I paint over top of them, then I come in, I sand back all my edges because I want that rustic feel, and then I'll even gild it with a little bit of wax. But I've never had a problem with it sticking to tiny hinges. They're not that huge. If the surface was big, like if there's a huge hinge or if you had a metal object you were painting, I would recommend Slick Stick. But for this tiny job and the rustic look that I'm going for, if it chips off, I'm totally cool with that. I'm down with that because I like that really rustic vibe. This is going to be Farmhouse Fabulous. And to me, Farmhouse says chippy, rusty, and crusty, right? So I'm going to just go with it. I haven't had a problem before though, but if you were worried, you could Slick Stick that, and then your paint will grip to any slick or shiny surface that it normally would not. All right, good. I like having a moderator. She's super helpful. Let's begin. All right, so what I'm gonna do is keep a couple of different brushes. I'm not gonna keep all of the brushes clean, okay? I'm not gonna come in with just the Bunker Hill on one brush, just the Haint Blue on one brush. We're gonna kind of mash it up because we're going for like a cloudy sky effect. A backdrop, remember, for my beautiful barn that we're gonna add to the front of this piece. So we're gonna keep it looking pretty realistic, all right? So I'm gonna come in with my Bunker Hill blue, which every time I use this blue, I'm always like, why don't I use it more? It's such a rich, gorgeous color, and I always love it. I think I need to order. I need to put my order in soon. I think I'll order a nice big jar of Bunker Hill because you can't beat it. It's just such a nice color. So I'm gonna start at the top, okay? My skies are always a little bit darker at the top of my piece. There are some chips in this. There are some gouges. It's not in perfect condition. Again, don't care. Want it rustic looking. So any of these little chips are a-okay by me. I'm actually going to really sand it well after I finish and it dries and add black wax to it as well to grunge it up some. All right, so there's my Bunker Hill on the 3 sides of my piece. I'm actually going to cover this top edge too with my Bunker Hill. And then remembering the lid itself is pretty much going to be just Bunker Hill. I'm going to use the same brush, okay? I'm not going to come in here and like start switching brushes all crazy like, because I don't mind if my colors mesh together a little bit. This is Mason-Dixon Gray. Anytime you see me paint a sky, guarantee it's going to be with Mason-Dixon Gray. This color has, I don't know, the most beautiful, what do I want to call it, authentic sky color. It's got a little bit of purple in it, believe it or not. Mason-Dixon Gray isn't like a true gray. It's a little bit purpley, and I dig that for a sky. I really do. I like a little bit of purple value when I come in here and do that. So we've got our Bunker Hill, our Mason-Dixon Gray, and I'm just gonna kind of drag it down the piece, okay? So now, one more color is gonna go in underneath. Again, same brush, not changing up my brush because we're really gonna color match. We're gonna mash these colors together. I'm gonna come in here with Haint Blue, okay? So Haint Blue is gonna go kind of in the middle. This is gonna be my color that helps me transition to the brown putty. Because it's more of like a white neutral color, it's just gonna work really well to bring that putty together. So I'm just adding all three colors. And
Quick question.
sure, what's your question, honey?
When you're blending, how fast does the paint dry? So how much time does it leave you
To mix. Okay, so my daughter's asking, when you're painting, how much time you have like in between layers? Like, what are you doing here to blend? And actually, this is a kind of a good way to teach this specific look. You're not gonna see me put one full coat on, let it get dry, add another full coat. I kind of want the wood to peek through. So this is gonna be like a thinner, almost like a paint wash. You're gonna see me blend these colors. Now the tool that's gonna help me do that is of course my spray mixing bottle filled with water and my Best Dang brush. So as it's drying, if this was like a really big dresser, you might just have to use more water or apply more paint to kind of reactivate that paint. Chalk mineral paint kind of reactivates when it's wet. It's a really good medium for blending things together. I really like it for pushing colors together. It's by far the easiest paint to blend. Dixie Belle just somehow blends so easily. There's no VOCs, there's no smell. I paint in here with my dogs, my kids, you know, in my dining room. It's safe to be around your family, and it blends and dries really, really well. So you're gonna really like chalk mineral paint if you haven't done ombre blending before, because you're just gonna be able to get away with a lot more blendy tips than you would with some of the other paint. All right, so I'm gonna come in here with another brush. This one's a little wet. I washed it today, so let me dry it some, because I don't want my brushes to be soaking wet. And I'm gonna come in here with the bottom color. Now, I chose putty because when you look at the transfer, you see putty. I see putty in the bottom part of that color. Can you see how there's a little bit of brown down there? It's like old grass kind of mixed in with snow. Putty is a good neutral, and I always like a nice neutral when I'm doing an ombre blend. You would see me probably use Sawmill Gravy or something along those lines almost every time I do an ombre blend. It's a nice neutral to kind of make these colors not be too overpowering. All right, so I'm gonna take a different brush this time because I wanna keep the putty a little bit more on its own. I don't really want the blue to travel into this putty color right now.
Rusty nail would work too, it's kind of orange.
Rusty nail, you see rusty nail in that transfer? So if you were ever wondering how to pick the colors that you're going to use and you're planning on using a transfer. So say you're coming in here and you're like, hey, I want to use this transfer today. I see all the colors on here, but I'm not really sure what colors will go well with this. There's a brand new tool on the Dixie Belle website called the Color Mixer. Have you seen it? You can actually go in and insert a photo of anything. I could take a photo, a snapshot of my on the farm transfer. I could take a snapshot of my tray that I made. I could take a snapshot of a pillow, upload that photo into the Color Mixer. It's gonna pull all of the colors that you have there in that photo, tell you what colors will go the best with your transfer. It will even give you proper color mixes if Dixie Belle doesn't make that exact color. It's a great tool for those of you looking to pull colors from a specific thing. It works wonders. I used it a couple weeks ago with Bianca's transfer. Lotus Theory has a beautiful cotton and eucalyptus transfer, and I was unsure of what color I wanted to choose, so I thought, well, let's put that picture into the color mixer and see what happens. And it created the most gorgeous lilac color that you've ever seen. And believe it or not, it was a color blend of two that I never ever would have put together. It was barn red and I believe sea glass mixed together made the most perfect lilac blend. It was gorgeous. And that was all from uploading one picture of a transfer, making the color and painting the piece. I mean, can it get any easier than that? I don't think so. And it is very fun to play with the color mixer, you're right. Okay, so we've got the putty down here at the bottom. So you can start to see my little sky starting to happen. Another thing I want you to know, that when I'm applying my paint like this, I am fairly heavy-handed. I'm not going in with a really light hand. I am applying a lot of paint to my piece. Again, remembering that yes, there's little chips and marks on here. That's okay. I don't care. I want that. What's the comment say, Alyssa? I see big writing up there.
Well, Sherry said, I'm sick, so I'm home from work today, but at least I get to see your live.
Oh, well, Sherry, I hope you feel better.
She said I have that transfer. It's so cute.
You know, I really like that farmhouse transfer. I didn't know if I would, but the ability to cut it up and do so many different projects with it kind of won my heart, because y'all know I like some smalls. I like the small stuff. I like to make a lot of things. And that is pretty cute. Pretty cute, right? All right, so putty is on my piece. We've got putty, Haint Blue, we have Mason Dixon Gray, and Bunker Hill. Now this is gonna be your next step. You're gonna need paper towels for this step because you're gonna wanna wipe off the excess amounts of paint that's on your brush. This Best Dang brush holds a lot of paint and kind of sucks it all in. So you're gonna see me wiping it off a lot. The other thing you're gonna see me do is actually dampen it quite a bit. This brush likes dampness. It's not gonna ombre blend well together if your brush is dry. It's gonna pull, it's gonna drag, you're gonna feel it. When you start to feel that drag, that's when you're gonna spray your brush, wipe it off, and continue on. So I'm gonna start at the top of this piece, okay? I'm gonna work in like sections. Because if I start here and bring it all the way down, you know what's gonna happen? I'm gonna pull the brown up, and I've got 3 sides to do. This is the other reason why I have more than one. I might actually stop and bring in another brush to blend the Haint Blue and the putty. So this brush is damp. This is my Best Dang brush. I also want you to notice that I'm holding my brush close to the bristles. This is gonna allow me control. If I came at it like this, that's a hard, pokey brush. That's a really strong arm. You're gonna pull the paint off. I wanna move close to the bristles, small circular motions. It's gonna create texture, it's gonna create depth, and it's gonna pull these colors together. Here we go. All I'm doing is doing small circles, creating a smoky sky for my background on this farmhouse piece. Here's the other thing. A sky is a sky. There's no perfect in skies. There's no rules in painting. You don't have to be all worried about your sky not looking perfect. It's gonna be perfect no matter what you do because it's the sky. It always looks different every single time you do it. So that's my mix. Bunker Hill into Mason Dixon. Let's continue that over here so that I don't lose that paint on my brush. If I start working downwards into the Haint Blue, you know what's gonna happen? It's gonna start to travel, right? I can actually see how my paint's dried up here a little bit. Let's deposit a little bit more of that Bunker Hill up here, all right? Let's just throw a little bit more paint up here so that it stays nice and movable when I'm moving my brush in these small, cloudy circles. And if you've never seen me do this before and you love this, please go to my YouTube channel where I have multiple videos of me painting the sky. I do it a lot. This is not a new thing. You might have seen me do it 2 or 3 times, but like I said, looks different every single time. Spraying my brush, wipe it off, and start to ombre blend those colors together.
Ray says that she loves that transfer and translucent garden.
You know what? I actually love the translucent garden and I haven't done it yet. I have done, let's see, I've done Bianca's cotton and eucalyptus with a custom color mix. I've done my own twice. I've done Leah Noel's Flower Child transfer. I just finished that. I actually posted that YouTube video today. Go to my YouTube and watch it, and you're gonna see me cut that transfer up. It is stunningly beautiful. I've done the Christmas one, and I've done this farmhouse one, and that's as far as I've gotten, which technically is pretty good since they just came out at the beginning of December. I'm a busy bee. I am a busy bee. So I will just plow right through them all. Expect to see every single transfer done by me. I'll do them all so that you can see. All right, so now you see that Bunker Hill mixed in, right? It's mixed. Whoa, we almost lost the trash can. You see that Bunker Hill mixed in with my gorgeous Mason-Dixon gray, right? Which is the perfect sky color. You need that if you're painting a sky. I'm gonna use the same brush. I'm gonna give it a good wipe, okay? Because that, remember, that sits on there. That paint gets stuck in that brush, and you don't wanna travel that color too much. So now let's mix the Mason-Dixon and the Haint Blue. The same motion, okay? You're gonna start pulling these two together, and it's gonna start to create a really pretty cloudy sky. Now, every time I do this, somebody always asks me, hey, why don't you spray your furniture with water while you're doing this? Well, if I sprayed my furniture with water, it could get too wet. I like to control the damp part of this with my brush. So if I'm doing this motion onto my piece, building this kind of cloudy, pretty sky, if I started spraying water all over this thing, it's gonna make it too, I don't know, too runny, if that makes sense. So let's come in here. I'm actually gonna grab another brush. Can you just find me one? That one's too big. Let's take this one. I'll take this one. I wanna put a little bit more of this gray back into this piece. Not for any other reason than I love it. I love the gray. I really like that kind of cloudy gray mixed in.
Another Joanne
gives me a moody sky.
Melissa is my furniture Bob Ross.
I will be the Bob Ross. Do you need me to talk in slow, relaxing tones? Could happen. I like it. So now I'm building these clouds up. Can you see how they're just kind of like moving around now? You could actually come in here with fluff or cotton if you wanted and start creating clouds in the sky, which we might even do that. Okay, so there you go. There's my mix. So now, Haint Blue is mixed in with my beautiful Mason-Dixon. The Mason-Dixon is coming up and creating a cloudy sky with that Bunker Hill, right? Let's continue over here and make this pattern happen all the way around. Then I think I'm gonna grab my next big brush, my Best Dang, and I'm gonna start to move that putty up. So the reason I would probably change out the brushes is because I just don't want that putty to travel, but we'll see how much of the paint is left on this brush. Sometimes I get lucky with these cloudy skies. See, that side was even easier. And I like it even better. Too bad it's not the front. It's the side. Sometimes that's the way it goes. All right, one more side to do. Again, wiping off that brush, keeping a rag or paper towel on hand, spraying it with water to pull off that extra pigment because you just don't want it to sit all in the brush. And slow circular movements. Now I can see that this one's getting a little bit dry, so let's go back in, deposit a little bit more of that Mason-Dixon gray, and build these cloudy layers up. Take off and mix it around.
People are saying perfect blending, and Palmella says I like the front.
You like the front? You know, it's funny how you get like, it's almost like you like sides better. Like you could be doing something and go, ooh, I like that side better than the other side. And then you're like, now what do I do? Because you get like a favorite corner. All right, so let's take the same brush. I'm gonna try it with the same brush on the side over here. I'm gonna come back down here with my putty. I'm just gonna finish kind of painting off that base. It's pretty dry. Remembering that I'm gonna sand it back a lot because I really want to add texture to this piece. So there's my putty. I'm gonna come back in, I'm gonna put a little bit of that Haint Blue just on the edge because you need it to be wet, right? You need it to be wet to activate. So let's try it with the same brush and see how much blue is stuck on this brush. If I find like the blue is too blendy, I'll switch it out and grab another Best Dang brush. So this is putty coming up into Haint Blue.
Deborah says, I have 3 of these trash cans. Thank you so much for your inspiration. Now I know what I'm going to do.
Wow, that's great. Do it. Paint it. Heck, I paint everything. If it's not nailed down, I'm painting it. Plus, I'm constantly shopping thrift stores. I love a thrift store. My daughter does too. It's actually a lot of fun. We like to go on adventures together and find fun things. And when you see something like this, you're like, why the heck wouldn't I buy that and paint that? That's like fun, fun, fun. Okay, so this is okay. I don't mind this blend. It didn't travel too much. I think because I let it get dry enough down here. If any of these bristles stick here, my recommendation is to wait for it to dry and just touch it. They'll fall off. If you start messing with it when it's wet, it's a little bit harder to remove those little extra bristles if they're stuck on there. So just wait till they dry and then you will be fine. Okay, so this is just putty. Remember, I'm gonna bring that putty, kind of a second coat. I really wanna kind of reactivate that paint. This doesn't work well on dry paint. It has to be wet. I'm gonna just put a tiny bit more Haint Blue here just for the mixing value, all right? Any more comments, honey?
Nope.
Nothing? Again, spraying my best dang brush and ombre blending. I'm gonna travel some of that putty up a little bit. I'm gonna bring some of that blue down a little bit. Nice, I'm liking that. That actually really looks like a cloudy sky to me. I like that a lot. This is, you know, like functional art. You can put this in your kitchen and love on it every day and use it. Why not paint your things? There's so many people out there that have, you know, a problem with painting wood. Well, first of all, half the things I get are out of the garbage. So I'm technically recycling and saving it from the landfill. Second of all, why would you want to paint something and make it fun and functional for your home? I mean, that's the way of the world. My grandma painted everything purple in her house and she loved it. Why not? It's your house. Do what you like. Don't let those people get you down. Don't let the man get you down. All right, so let's mix this little section and then I'm gonna hold up the transfer and show you the plan. So again, with the circular motions.
Ray says my mom and I always love treasure hunting together.
It's so much fun, isn't it? It's almost like a little adventure because you never know what you're gonna find. You find the strangest, weirdest things, and sometimes you find the best things. We love a good thrift flip. Okay, so let's compare this to what I finished before we started. This is the original, remember? This is what I painted today to let it get dry to show you the move. I can see up here that a little bit of my Bunker Hill traveled over, but I'm gonna sand it back and dry that, and you won't even see that tiny little bit that traveled over. So now we have our beautiful box, remembering that the handles are gonna go back on the side, right? They're black, they're rustic. Now, turn it back to the front and I'm gonna hold up my barn so you can see my vision come to life. So now, you can stick this barn on here and it's gonna look like you hand painted it. I saved myself one heck of a time because normally I'd sit here on the floor and paint it in by hand. But by adding this barn, because it's partial, right? This is part of 2. It's actually really big. See how big it is? I'm gonna bend it across this whole piece. I think I'm gonna actually line up the transfer edge to the corner. But again, it has to be done when it's dry. Your paint needs to be dry before you apply your transfers, okay? So this is the last 2 pages. I've used up almost this whole entire transfer on all these little projects. I have trays that I've made. I'm working on this one. Like, these transfers go a long way. Think of these transfers, especially the Christmas and Farmhouse one, as multiple use. And if you've seen mine, Buds and Branches, my transfer actually is designed for multiple uses. I designed my transfer to be put on 2 different pieces if you wanted to. You can cut up the blooms, you can spread them out. There's 2 different kind of sections. So even though you think of one transfer as maybe for one piece, it can be a lot of pieces. It can go very far away. So now that we have painted our piece, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna show you a couple different ways that you could actually do this. So we know I'm gonna be putting the transfer on the front, obviously, when it's dry. I also pulled out something to show you because I thought that they go very well together. And I think that my brain works in conjunction with other products. Like I always think like, what can I layer? What can I add? What can I put all of the things on one piece, right? This is the Silkscreen Stencil. If you haven't tried a Silkscreen Stencil before, you're missing out. They are a lot of fun. They give you highly detailed stencils with no blade through. Because they have a sticky back, they are pretty much mistake proof, okay? So inside this one, this is the Farmhouse Stencil. So like with the steampunk stencil, I pair it with my steampunk transfer. I like to put that together. And then I even added like would you bend gears on it. So when I think of like a big picture of how I can make things work. So I have this old rusty truck, which I think what I'll end up doing is putting the barn on and then layering him down here, because I used the truck that was in the transfer on another piece. It did come with the truck, I just used it on something else. So I will probably put my barn in, layer in that rusty truck. I might even put a label like this Farm Fresh Eggs. This would work really good for when I paint the lid. It would look super cute if I stenciled it on the top with that Haint Blue. It'd be adorable.
It's a $5 question.
Sure, what's the question?
Questions are, can you apply transfer over wax piece of furniture, and can you add would you bend over wax piece?
Okay, so let's break it down. If you are adding a silkscreen stencil on top of a transfer, I recommend that you seal your transfer with clear coat, because these little silk screens have a sticky back to them. Well, that's partial question. This would actually stick to your transfer and it could possibly pull it off. So I say transfer, clear coat, sticky stencils. If you are wanting to add a transfer to a piece that has been waxed before, your transfer unfortunately will not stick. Transfers are not made to stick on waxed products. There's zero problem with waxing after you've put the transfer on. These trays have actually been sealed in wax on top of the transfer. It works very well, but wax is always last, never under a transfer. Your transfers just, they won't stick to wax. They're not made that way. So if you're waxing, do your wax afterwards. If you're doing a stencil, silkscreen stencil, make sure you clear coat your piece first so that you don't pull off your transfer. Your transfer will stick to clear coat. You could always clear coat it first, then do that. But if you're doing a sticky stencil over top of a transfer, you should definitely make sure you seal that first. So no to the wax and the transfers, they don't mesh well together unless your wax is on top. Now would you bends, you can put would you bends wherever the heck you want. Ideally, you shouldn't put them over wax because there might be a little bit of a resist when you're using your wood glue. You know, those would you bends like to be stuck on wood on wood, but I would maybe scuff it up some, or maybe remove some of that wax with some mineral spirits before you go sticking that wood glue on. I just would hate for you to go through the effort and have it not stick well. But to do its job properly, would you bends are applied with wood glue, heated before you apply your wood glue, put your wood glue, stick them on, heat them again. But I would recommend that you should probably make sure there's no wax on any project as you're working. Wax should always be last. It's just a good rule of thumb. I hope that answered the question for you. No worries. That is a friend. That, you know what, that person lives in Ontario. I recognize that name. Yep. Okay, so I painted this today. It's nice and dry. No worries, right? I can put a transfer on here. I could put a stencil on here. I thought I would take a quick minute and stick something on here just so you can see, even though it's the back of a piece, I think that there's always room for fun on the back, and we can stick something on there. Why don't we come in and add a couple cute little chickens just down here in the corner, just down here in the bottom, because why not? That's adorable. Then this way I can show you a little bit about how a transfer works. Lisa, can you please pass me a transfer stick for burnishing it down? There should be one inside there somewhere. No? Because I already took my transfer stick out of my tube. So I need another one. She's throwing stuff around. All right, so we have our transfer. These are two cute little chickens that were in the transfer tube, right? This is a very big transfer. You can see all the images available on here. I'm gonna stick them on the back just so you can see how they go down on a painted surface and how easy they are to use. You see one, honey? Should be lots. Oh, wonderful job. There's a transfer stick. So inside every tube there is a transfer stick. This is your tool that you use to burnish your item down. So when you have a transfer, you have a front piece and a backing piece, okay? The clear piece is what you're gonna peel off. This is your protective backing sheet. Don't remove your protective backing sheet until you're ready to adhere it to your piece. So we're gonna turn this and we're gonna stick these cute little chickens on the back of this piece. Remembering I painted this morning, waiting for it to dry. Ideally, you should probably wait about 24 hours before you go ahead and start to stick a transfer on top of paint. All right, so the back of it is sticky. Please be gentle, find your place. You can now seal this with a clear coat before you put your transfers on, or you can seal it after, it's up to you. I'm just gonna take these little chickens and we're going to put them on the back down here. I'm just going to push it gently. Okay, by pushing it gently, it helps it stick to the piece, and you're going to give it a quick little rub with your stick. All that's going to do is make sure you've got your edges down. So now it's your option how you're going to peel this back. Left, right, however you would like to do it. I'm going to start on this side and start to make sure that my transfer is adhered. I'm going to gently start to pull it back as I run my stick over top, and you're going to see it actually release. What's going to happen is the image adheres to the painted surface, and then it becomes almost like a clear, cloudy clear look over top of the transfer. So you can see what's stuck and what's not. And if you need a closer look, let's see if I can bring you in a tiny bit closer, just so you can have a little peek about what I'm speaking about on here. So can you see how this chicken is white? He is adhered to the piece. This chicken is only halfway adhered to the piece. So as you move along, use that as your guide to know when your transfer is stuck. If you're working and you see a piece that's not stuck down, go back over it again. Give it a little rub with your stick. These are easy release stencils, or sorry, easy release transfers, and you're able to do this job quickly with nothing, no residual left on here. You're gonna find these are super easy to use. Out of all the transfers I've used, they don't crack, they don't have any problems when you're bending them around the edge. So this little chicken, two little chickens are now hanging out. I know this is the back of the piece, but why not make the back cute? So now we have one more chicken. Should we put him over there, Alyssa? Yeah, let's do him over here.
Yeah, says I need to try this on a snack tray.
Yeah, you know what? A snack tray would be great. I would recommend if you're using, like, these are decorative, so I seal them with wax, but if you were going to be using your trays, I would definitely use a clear coat over top, just for that extra little bit of protection. So you're gonna peel your transfer backing off.
Baby chicken on it.
There's two little baby chicks on there. It's so cute. And you're gonna take your little chick. I just wanna make sure there's no dust on there. And I'm gonna stick him over here in the corner. I'm gonna give him a little rub, trying not to touch my freshly painted surface. A little burnish with my stick. Now here's my handy dandy tip of the day. I always have one. So this piece of paper that had the other chickens on it, because now this edge is like on your piece, you're like, how do I get in here? How do I get my paper off? Take this little edge and you should be able to get it right underneath this, and then you can easily grab your edge. So just save that scrap to kind of get in underneath the corner, and it'll help you grasp the edge. So I'm just gently rubbing it down, making sure that it's all stuck onto my piece, peeling back, seeing it release, and he's off. So cute. Now I have 3 baby chicks on the back. Actually, 1, 2, 3 mamas and 2 babies. It's so cute, super cute. So now you know how to do an ombre cloudy finish. You know that if you're working with a transfer and you need to find your colors, you can look at the color mixer that's available on the Dixie Belle paint page and find all of the colors that work for you. They even actually have it where you can print out a menu, a recipe with the amount of square footage that you're gonna need. You can print out all of the things and then get your paint. You can color mix and do lots of delicious things. So this little piece has to get dry. Once it's dry, I'll come in, I'll add the barn, all right? That's why I did this whole cloudy sky, because that barn is gonna look like $1,000,000 right there, right? So good. I'm gonna paint the top piece of this pretty much in Bunker Hill blue. I'm probably gonna add some beautiful Silkscreen Stencil. I have some coffee bean on the floor, a nice brown, because he would look pretty cute, that little Silkscreen Stencil without the words, I think. I don't think I want the words. I think I just want the images. It'll be adorable. It'll be a lot of fun, and it's a great little fast Christmas project before the holiday season begins. So let me give you a quick little recap, because if you're joining late, you might not have heard all of the colors and products that we used today. Bunker Hill Blue came into Mason-Dixon Gray. Mason-Dixon Gray came into Haint Blue. Haint Blue came in down here into Putty. These colors were all brushed together with my best dang brush, my most favorite brush in the entire world. We did an ombre blend. I talked to you about transfer placement. I talked to you about Silkscreen Stencils. We got into all the good stuff today. And then on the floor over here, I have some extra greens for when I actually get that barn in. I think I'm gonna paint some grass around it and make it look even more hand painted, because who's gonna know that I didn't hand paint that barn? They're not gonna know. So it's gonna be our secret together. So If you want to see all of the transfers in action, please come over and follow my YouTube. There are going to be new videos posted weekly, and I have posted 2 or 3 so far already. I posted one today using Leah's Flower Child transfer, and it is stinking adorable. You have to go check it out. Thank you very much for joining me on my painting journey. I will be back next week. I hope you have a wonderful Christmas holiday and a great holiday season. We are heading out tonight, my family and I, for a little Christmas shindig. I'm all ready to go. I got my Grinchy Grinch earrings on, and we are going to have a wonderful holiday. So take care. Merry Christmas, friends. I will see you next week on Wednesday. Bye.